And I think we are live. Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you, first of all, for doing this last minute because I had a last minute cancellation. So I was intending one guest, but I got three. So that's always a bonus.
You got more than you
so yeah, that's always good. That's always a good sign, right? So let me first introduce everybody. I got like a quick one-liner bio for everybody. So we got Sunerok, who is the lead developer of Verge at vergecurrency.com. We have Bryan, who's a community developer and host of Right, exactly. Community developer and host of PIVXpress, PIVX.org. And we got Mark, who runs a macroeconomics analysis and global community implementation guy for PIVX. Now that's a tongue twister. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. And today's theme, what we're talking about is the importance of privacy and economics and blockchain. So I think a great segue into this or onto this would be, what do you think the current state of blockchain is when it comes to the importance of privacy and economics?
I mean, I guess it depends on what blockchain you're talking about. You know, I think Bitcoin has definitely strayed from the path of user privacy as one of the main focuses. And I think initially that was, probably almost half of its vision. I think half was public ledger, half was user privacy. And I think that they're kind of slacking on the user privacy part and have been for a while. But I mean, that's the beauty of altcoins is, you have a lot of other guys working on their own implementations on how to, keep their users' identities secure and, things like that.
When you say they slacked off, can you kind of expand on that?
It's just, it doesn't seem like there's a focus for user privacy anymore. I mean, Tor could have been built into it. I2P could have been built into it. Somebody actually built I2P into Bitcoin and and offered to do a pull request, and it went in, and then somebody just ended up pulling it back out, and there was like this little squabble over it, but then it just kind of went away, but there's a lot of easy methods, for user privacy that Bitcoin just kind of ignores now. I mean, I guess they're more focused on, I think, on being able to pump a lot of transactions through their chain. And with 10-minute blocks, obviously that's, been a problem.
So what would you say right now are, I know you're doing with Verge and everything, but what would you say right now are the main players in the game really focusing on privacy?
I think that you're looking at 2 out of 3 of them, 4 out of them. I'd say ourselves, Verge, Monero, certainly, and then Dash and PIVX, and those are probably the only 4 really that come to mind.
Yeah, and I would actually say that Dash, they've partnered with CoinFirm, which is an AML KYC firm, to actually have their entire blockchain searchable and trackable for AML KYC compliance. And CoinFirm actually has Dash listed as a corporate sponsor for AML KYC of compliance. So that to me is fuck you to privacy by Dash. So Dash is not a privacy coin. They still have the label, but that's huge.
Well, their chain has always been on ClearNet anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, all of the user IPs are easily retrievable in the masternode log.
Well, let's talk about this because I think some people might be confused or they just don't know. When I'm talking about, say, Verge or Monero or PIVX, let's do some comparison. So let's compare those as a privacy-focused oriented blockchain platforms versus the ones who aren't really focusing on. What are the main differences?
Basically, nobody can actually find out who. Okay, so say I pull up a rich list of Verge and I say, oh, this guy's got a couple million coins and he's this means he's worth 10 grand. No one's going to be able to get that guy's IP address and actually locate him. And that's what we focus on. We don't focus on actually making our ledger itself private, because I think that that's one of the beauties of Bitcoin is having a public ledger. And I don't really think you can have mass market adoption with a private ledger, because I mean, imagine, customer service at Newegg trying to locate transactions that don't even exist and they aren't queryable. So we focus on the user aspect. You at home, we don't want anyone finding out who you are. You can have a public address, post it, but we don't want anyone knowing your actual location.
Now, would that be the same for PIVX?
Sorry, I'm on mute. I think I'm off now. Yeah, so am I still on mute? I think so. I don't know. Can you guys hear me?
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. Yeah, you're fine.
So again, this would be a great question. I wish we had one of the developers on. So one of the aspects that we're looking to implement with PIVX is zero coin protocol. So again, going back to the fact that you can still search the transactions, you can still see, yeah, okay, this transaction actually occurred, but you're not going to be able to locate and identify who the person was at the back end of it.
Okay.
See,
now,
my point with that though is I don't think that there's the okay. So say I'm talking to Newegg on customer service, and they're saying, okay, I see that this transaction occurred, but I don't see that it's from you or that I'm the one that got it. I just see that it occurred. So that's why I think that, you know, actual ledger obfuscation isn't adoptable by a mass market.
Mark, you have anything to say about that?
I guess I don't understand why you would have to have ledger visibility, especially in cryptocurrencies where your transactions are going to be private anyway, mostly person to person.
Well, see, that's the thing though, is like I'm saying, like, okay, like say your Newegg customer service, and I'm saying I sent you guys $1,000 for this motherboard, and they're saying, okay, well, we see that this transaction occurred, but we don't see that it's from you, and we don't see that it came to us.
No, I understand. I understand exactly what you're saying. Let's talk about this. So, you know, each single platform obviously has different features and different benefits and has different use cases. Let's focus on Verge for a second. What are the main use cases and main clients currently?
Well, I think that we have the easy potential for mass market adoption because, like I said, you know, our focus is we're trying to pretty much keep the original vision of Bitcoin alive, which is user privacy and public ledger. I think that it's important that people can see distribution, you know, so that they don't say, oh my God, look, this one guy has like 90% of the supply. I think it's important for people to be able to see, you know, if a coin did a pre-mine, which we didn't, but if a coin did a pre-mine, I think it's important for people to be able to see when and where those funds are being allocated. Like, okay, well, we know that the development funds have been shrinking, you know, so is that being just sold off in the market? Is that actually going to developers? Stuff like that. So I think that the ledger itself should be public and visible, but I think that the issue is that you have, you know, in most coins, the nodes are actually broadcasting user IP addresses back and forth, and that's being logged, not in the chain itself, but on the actual network. So if I set up a couple of nodes, I'm going to be catching all the users' IPs. So that's what Verge does, is basically we make sure that those IPs that are broadcast aren't our users. The IPs that get broadcast are actually usually local hosts. Like when I check my logs on our Tor or I2P Electrum servers, for people who use our Electrum I2P or Tor wallets.
Verge is on Tor currently right now.
Yeah, I actually just see local host connections. I see the people that are coming onto the server coming from within the server. I don't actually see an outside IP address of somebody. All of the addresses in our logs just say 127.0.0.1.
And Verge is still, you guys think, just classical proof of work?
We're actually multi-algorithm. We have 5 algorithms and we're proof of work. I mean, we try to make a lot of our decisions community-based. You know, we have 1,400 people in our Telegram. We've got hundreds of people in our IRC. We have like a couple hundred people in our Discord. And we try to, even though democracy is really tough, we try to actually, you know, agree as a community on what should be done. So we voted and we moved from script to multi-algorithm. So that there was a bigger variety, and it actually prevented, you know, big script farms from, you know, sucking up all our coins. And it works really well now. So, you know, we have DGW on there, you know, we have awesome retargeting, and our blockchain is like smooth as butter. I mean, we have like, you know, 45-second blocks consistently.
What are you seeing the most use cases for it right now?
Instant transactions with user privacy. I mean, I think that, like I said, you know, we're one of the few coins who focus on that. So I think that we can go both ways. I think that that's the best part of Verge is, you know, we could have a shop like Newegg accept Verge, and it would be easy for them, and it would be easy for them to adopt. And then, you know, people who want to set up more, you know, private things that are, you know, they like to keep internal, they have their own option of, you know, adopting that as well, because, you know, they can run through our private networks.
Interesting. Now, Bryan and Mark, do you want to kind of maybe talk about VIX a little bit, going a little bit deeper for that? Bryan, I think you're muted.
Yeah. So so that's what Sunerok was also to piggyback onto what he was saying as well. You know, that's the one of the biggest focuses for PIVX is being right. So and in that being able to transact in that private manner. So an adoption with a mainstream merchant. I mean, a Newegg, you know, a Pirate Bay, which is obviously much more privacy oriented. So a Newegg and Amazon, pick your vendor of choice. So being able to remit payments in a fast transaction, we're pretty consistent. I mean, our block times are 60 seconds, and those those run
transactions too.
Yeah, so we have very, very fast transaction times. We're working on getting our masternodes even more globally distributed. So when you're doing it state to state, you know, at least within the U.S., I mean, it's pretty damn near instant. If you're doing it, say, from the U.S. to another country, it might take a fraction of a second. So, oh no, but it's pretty good in that sense. So that's what we're working on. More geolocating our masternodes. Yeah. So, hi. I have my chairman decided to join the conversation. So you want
My chairman are asleep right now. So
yeah, you wanted organic flow. My chairman just decided to join us.
Beautiful.
You take over.
So let's focus on, so what's PIVX's main focus like? Who's your main clientele right now? And what's the main use cases at the moment? It's the same thing with Verge, so just instant trans. Oh, Bryan,
Okay,
you're muted
I'm
again.
back.
Yeah.
my chairman decided to leave. So that's good. Yeah. So I mean, we're obviously we're looking for that use case. We Living Room of Satoshi just picked us up. So now in Australia, you can pay I think it's 45,000 different types of bills in Australia using PIVX. So again, and it's an easy remittance. It's an easy payment platform. We are also on the UQuick card. So again, if you want to pick up a debit card and actually go use your PIVX, I think it's 174 countries now. You can use PIVX, load it up, top it up, and go pay. There's some new initiatives coming out, and Mark, you can speak to this, where we are actually looking at branching into second world, third world countries to do actually payment remittance, right? Because some of the biggest things is how do you get funds? How do you get your funds? Say, like, let's say you're working in the States and you want to get your funds down to your family in pick your country like Venezuela or somewhere else, right? So either you pay a hefty transaction fee and it's delayed forever, or you can use a mechanism in a vehicle called PIVX where you can actually transfer those funds down. You know, PIVX, we're a little different in that standpoint of we're probably never going to become the what I'll call like financial big bank backed, like a Ripple might be and tied into, and that's not really our design. Our design is more of the people who are focused on right now the fringe, which is quite frankly the fastest growing demographic of the population, who are going, I don't really trust the big central authorities, and I want to be able to distribute my funds where and how I choose and outside of their prying eyes. So that's where we're looking at. How do we develop that awareness that we are a viable private instant transaction for these demographics? Mark, I don't know if you want to speak to that as well,
Yeah.
of some of the work that you're doing. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the dynamics of how in the near future, I believe that the coming next recession, you're going to see a lot of failure in fiat currencies and in central governments, and a lot of the trust is going to be lost in those fiat currencies, and cryptocurrencies are going to have a super spike. That's my main economic thesis. I see global market cap for cryptocurrencies anywhere from $7 trillion to $10 trillion. And that's a huge move, and it would not take a large amount of capital to actually push that price up because it's an exponential function of how much capital is trying to move into the space. So even a small move of several $100 billion could accomplish that. And from there, when cryptocurrencies hit that market cap, which cryptocurrency are people going to want to actually have their value, their currency stored in? And that's really where PIVX is well positioned. Is our marketing guy, Rue Barbarian, and I were talking about how he's trying to work with churches who are trying to send money to Mexico, and the 20-30% costs, 40% costs to send money to Mexico. I'm working with Venezuelans trying to figure out how can we get PIVX implemented as the instant transaction mechanism for the black market, the free market, the true free market in Venezuela, to actually stimulate the free market, multiply it exponentially in Venezuela so that people can trade with cryptocurrencies. And if you're a family member who's going to send money to your family in Venezuela, and you want a cryptocurrency, which one are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the cryptocurrency that prints, that has quantitative easing? I have a website that I put up called cryptoqe.com, where I basically point out, hey, the entire economic dynamic that's going on with cryptocurrencies today is a function of quantitative easing, of money printing by central banks. And with proof of work currencies, they're doing the same printing. They're doing quantitative easing as cryptocurrencies and devaluing the value that everyone who owns the coins has to pay outside miners. With PIVX, our economics is truly decentralized. We have chosen to go and pursue proof of stake, a true decentralized way of economically running a cryptocurrency, where we all run our cryptocurrency and we all pay ourselves. So if you're a family member and you've got $5,000 and you're staking on PIVX, you can send your family member in Venezuela the monthly minimum wage in Venezuela in PIVX. That's a powerful dynamic, and that's just spending interest, let alone remittances. So if we're going to be the mechanism for global trade, we really feel that that's a huge, massive economic advantage that PIVX has over many other cryptocurrencies in the space.
How are you guys different than Dash?
We actually, excellent question. Our economics are completely different. With Dash uses, we're built on the Dash core, but we said, hey, the idea of having 60%, 61% right now of your master nodes being paid to provide services, with half of the block reward, plus the other half of the block reward being paid to miners, to put it in practical real terms. For Dash next year, over the next year, 730,000 new Dash are going to be minted or mined and given to masternode owners or miners. There's only 2.85 million Dash that's owned by regular people who are essentially being devalued at a rate of 25.6% per year. If that currency is ever spent, to put it into perspective, that would be like the U.S. Federal Reserve printing $5 trillion and giving it to banks.
Wait, so you're saying that your masternodes actually print or mint new coins?
Yeah. So
I thought they just collected fees from the transactions that go through.
No. So our block reward is designed to pay for computing power from masternodes and from the owners. Everyday owners who can just stake by leaving their wallet open.
So you guys already are a staking coin?
Yes, we are. We're full, just pure proof of stake. No proof of stake time, proof of stake work, etc. We're just pure proof of stake. There's issues with proof of stake time, etc. that are actually not compatible with a true decentralized, attempting to be a global community cryptocurrency, because downtimes in foreign countries, etc., for wallets are disproportionately punishing in certain other proof of stake methods to poorer countries. So we are pursuing pure proof of stake. So everybody gets a share of the block reward to provide computing power, to run full nodes, to provide consensus, and to be randomly selected as the validator. of the blockchain. So we pay ourselves and we don't pay others.
So what does it take for someone to become a masternode for proof of stake?
Yeah, for proof of stake, for PIVX, it takes 10,000 PIV to own a masternode. So right now that's about $17,000. And based upon, I don't actually own or run a masternode. I have enough that I could, but when I stake, I actually think I'm making more than masternoding right now. And that's because a certain percentage of PIV will always be on exchanges that are not going to be staked. There's going to be some PIV that's going to be in cold wallets or mobile wallets that aren't able to stake, because I don't think it's ever going to be safe to stake from a mobile wallet. I saw one so-called proof of stake currency that also uses proof of work, so it's not pure proof of stake, economically speaking. They were going to run all of their mobile wallets from one server. I was like, how is that secure? So to have true, secure, decentralized nodes, staking may only ever be on a live wallet running.
And you guys burned your pre-mine, right?
Yeah.
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 So there was 60.
Dash.
Yeah, there was 60,000. There was 60,000 pre-mined to set up the initial 6 masternodes to get the network going, and that was publicly declared, and also declared that, and I forget the specific block, but at the specific block, those 60,000 would be burned as well. Yeah. So that's a divergent from what occurred at the beginning with Dash, as well with their coin. The other thing too, and Sunerok, this is why, again, love what you said about with Verge, is there's a community feel, right? So that's one of the things that PIVX has embraced and really promoted, and I think done differently and in a more powerful manner than most other cryptocurrencies, outside of who's here, is that community aspect, right? So that's the other thing that we've taken and that we've improved upon, is with masternodes, and in that model that Dash initially set up, is that the voting power for any governance, for any changes to anything within the Dash ecosphere, exclusively to the masternode owners, right? So all the voting power remained within those owners, and something that PIVX has done, that ilk of that community feel. We are providing attempting to provide a true decentralized manner of voting and power distribution. So already within PIVX, it's gone through the masternodes, I think unanimously voted their exclusive voting rights, right? So instead of saying the masternodes have all the voting power, we decide what goes on with any type of core change, any proposal. The proposal for the masternode said, yep, we're going to actually figure out a way to give voting power to everybody that's within the PIVX ecosphere. So it's no longer exclusive to just the masternodes, right? So that sort of democratic community feel of, hey, if you own one PIVX, if you own masternode, it doesn't matter. You can all participate in the vote, right? So whatever it is, if you want to vote on, hey, we want to change the banner to be orange, or oh, we want to make the code all of a sudden XYZ, that now becomes a true community endeavor, right? And we're providing the architectural framework for that to actually occur.
And a lot of that has to, so I would say that right now we're working on governance, but we do have, in terms of total decentralization, we have the economics going for us, and I think that's huge. And then I think also in function, we're decentralized. We embrace the swarm method of you are what you do, we are PIVX, and so you are what you contribute. And so I've had brand new Pivians come onto Slack and, oh, hey, you're from Argentina. Oh, hey, I need something translated in Spanish. Boom, done within an hour, and they send it back to me and say, hey, here's your Spanish translation so we can get PIV implemented in Spain, in Venezuela. And that's the kind of atmosphere and partnership and teamwork. We have dozens of people working on languages to get PIVX.org translated into as many languages as possible. I talked to our coordinator for translation for PIVX.org, and she says we're aiming for 50 different languages by the end of the year. So 6 months, 50 total languages. So that's huge. And getting our mobile wallet translated into as many languages as possible. We truly are committed to being the global community cryptocurrency and advanced by us. So marketing directors of wherever you're from, you can promote PIVX and get cryptocurrency into the hands of your family and friends.
Do the masternodes have user IP addresses in their debug logs?
That I do not know.
Yeah, so that's a question that we'd have to pull in. I don't know off the top of my head. So that would be a great question to follow up with. I can check with Spock or PressAb and find out for you.
Yeah, and I run 2 computers for staking, and one of them is in Singapore, and the other is different locations in the US. So depending on where I want my VPN to say I'm from. So
I just want to switch over for Verge for a second. Sunerok, can you explain to me the economics behind it?
Could you give me a little bit more specific as to what you mean? Like that's like I mean, we are working with Euclid right now. We're getting listed. I just talked to the guys at Coin Payments last night, and they're adding us. So we're actually going to be setting up a full merchandise shop on our website that accepts only Verge.
Oh, nice.
But I mean, as far as economics, like I mean, I feel like that's like I feel like it's not really if you build it, they will come. I mean, we're doing marketing now, but I feel like, you know, that's the kind of stuff where people should see what fits them. I don't want to go knocking on doors and trying to sell vacuum cleaners, no matter how good the vacuum cleaner is. I think that's up to retailers and people like that to come to reach out and make their own decisions. They can look and see what's out there, and if somebody's saying, hey, we kind of want a coin that focuses on privacy, they should, definitely do their own research. I mean, I see firsthand investors themselves even tell me I make decisions based on marketing. And I think to myself, wow, that is so bad, because anybody can tell you that something's amazing. Anybody can dress something up and put a fancy graphic on it. But, you really got to take a look at what's underneath, and get people's opinions and do some research, and I definitely urge all investors to do their research, and not just, take an infographic or a tweet, to heart and think, this is okay. This guy tweeted and says it's awesome, or this infographic looks so clean, the illustrator did a great job. I'm going to invest in this, so I think that people need to do a lot more research. And, it's cool to see that a lot of new investors are coming into the altcoin market. I think people are kind of like, wow, they feel like, Bitcoin is such a high price, and they probably feel like wow, it's in the $2,000 range. I don't even know if I should get in this. But then people say, oh, what is Litecoin, or what are these other altcoins? And then they discover the entire, wild world of altcoins. And it's not a secret. I mean, altcoins have better technology right now than Bitcoin does. And a lot of people are learning that. And don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on Bitcoin. I do hate all the drama that goes on, and that it becomes near impossible for people to make simple decisions. Like everybody's fighting over the soft fork and SegWit and all this. And it's like, you know what? If 2 years ago you guys just doubled the block size, none of this would be an issue right now. So, I mean, I guess the larger you become, the harder it becomes to make decisions that everybody will like. I mean, the other day we relaunched our website, and all of a sudden we had, 1,000 people say, oh my God, this is great. And then you have, 20 people saying, you should change this little part. This little part should do this. But now we actually serve our website from our GitHub repository. So we have a whole team of developers and anybody is free to make pull requests on it. And we can just press a button, boom, it goes live to the site. So keeping things open source and on GitHub kind of helps a lot, especially with communities, because then it's like, a developer doesn't have to say, hey, Sunerok, I think that this should be this, and now they can actually just go do it and then set it up to where I take a look and see if I like it. And then, okay, awesome. Yeah, let's add that. That's a good idea. Done.
I think we will wrap it up there. You guys want to have any final thoughts, or you want to tell anybody final suggestions, or yeah, just thoughts on where should they go from here?
Stick with user privacy, guys. User privacy should be number one. I always tell people this analogy. Would you, people say, oh, you know, I don't have anything to hide. Well, would you like to live in a house where everybody outside can see you inside and you can't see them watching you? If so, then okay, don't worry about privacy. But if you'd like to, you know, have a little bit more freedom than people see on the internet, people aren't really aware. It would be a lot different if the internet was real life and you actually had people sitting outside your window staring in and you couldn't see them, but you knew they were there. And that's kind of what the internet is now. You know, if you're just roaming around on the regular internet like we are on Google, you know, so much metadata is just flowing through, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And databases are being compiled with all of the information and who's in our, like right now we're all on Google. So right now all this information is coming in and who's in our circles, who's not, you know, what connections we have and what our locations are and who we have in common. And, you know, so much data is compiled from users and a lot of people aren't really aware of it. So I really like to try to get that analogy out there more. It's like, you know, if you're on the regular internet, you're pretty much traveling around in a clear vehicle where everybody can see you, but you can't see them. So definitely stick with user privacy and, you know, check out who's doing it and, you know, start investigating it and, you know.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, and I second
Bryan,
I absolutely believe that the privacy coins are going to be the ones that are going to thrive when Gresham's law starts being implemented and cryptocurrencies spike 100x from here. Because when that happens, governments are going to be starved for cash, and they are going to go to the sphere that just made several $1 trillion in capital gains, and they are going to extract their pound of flesh, and they're going to do everything they can to track you down. So at that point, the trackable currencies that are going to be forced into any kind of centralized coin, I mean, if they can't get their money, they will haul off the devs and the so-called CEOs of these centralized coins and send them to prison because they think that Bitcoin is a thing that you can hold. So these guys are that stupid. So that's a actual real life thing that could happen. So the coins that are going to flourish are actually going to be the privacy coins. And so stick with privacy. And it's process to work. I mean, PIVX isn't as private as we want to be, but you know, we're working towards implementing as much privacy as we can possibly can. And various cryptocurrencies are going to have, you know, different followings for different reasons, because this is the free market of currency, and it's free market currency. So free competition.
Also, I'd like to tell everybody, download Tor, download I2P, you know, start finding out what this stuff is. It's a lot easier to use than you think. Some of these things, you just click a button and you're doing it already. So start getting into it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was going to follow up and say, you know, look into Sunerok. I love what you just said too about GitHub. Like within the realm of the Wild West of altcoins, even if you don't know what you're doing, just go into GitHub and take a look at the activity of what's going on, right? Take a look at what the developers are doing, make sure that there's active work going on. The other thing too is, you know, whether you pop into Slack, or if you pop into Telegram, or you pop into a Discord chat or Mattermost, whatever it is, pulse of the community, right? Like, because if you're going to be part of a crypto, and again, it's all a personal bias, right? Go see what's going on within that community and see if you jive with it. I mean, that's another great thing, is not only look at it from a tech aspect and see what they're doing on the privacy elements and what they're doing in terms of updating. Go see what the community is about and who those people initially are involved in, and see if you jive with it, right? Yeah, I think there are a few coins in doing it well. Again, it's not this isn't a, hey, we're the best and everyone else is, you know, they can go to hell and that's it. No, like there's going to be a few coins and there's going to be a few communities that all thrive together, right? Look at the world. We're not all homogeneous in a population. We're very heterogeneous. So to say, like, look, You guys are focused on that aspect and you do it really brilliantly. Awesome. You know what? I want to have some Verge coin. Okay, you guys are doing instant transactions and this type of technology very well. Okay, cool. I'm gonna pick up some PIVX. Oh, and you know what? I want to do some app technology. Okay, cool. I'll pick up some of whatever that is. As go do your homework, look at the GitHub, go find the community, and then just have these conversations. So that's my two pigs.
Yeah, I have a good example.
Yeah.
The other day we saw Potcoin reach 10 cents, and you go look at that GitHub. There hasn't been a change since 2015. There's nobody working on Potcoin right now. You know what I mean?
Nope.
It's, you know, markets are very easily manipulated when they're low volume and a low price. So definitely do homework and make sure that, you know, you're not just buying something that nobody's home and nobody's, you know, nobody's there anymore. You know, you don't want to buy a product from a company who's already dissolved.
Sunerok, I love it because I think for those of us who have been in cryptocurrencies for more than 6 months, right? 6 months is a long time in crypto. So for those of us who have been in for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, good night. Yeah, like
crypto is dog years.
Gosh.
1 year is 7 years.
Yeah, absolutely. Do your homework. Yeah, there's so much of a wild west in crypto. Talk to good people. There's a good number of us in crypto who, like, even if it's not about PIVX or Verge or whatever, it's like, no, at the end of the day, I would say the people right now in this call are more concerned about, like, we don't want you to get screwed, right? Because there's a lot of people that will screw you in crypto. So
cool. We'll leave it at that. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for coming on board. And I'll make sure I put in the show notes all your information, your Twitter, and how people can reach you. All right, guys, take care, and thank you so much.
Peace.
Peace.
thank you. Awesome.